and so on and so forth. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to be able to benefit from this month to its maximum. The topic I'd like to discuss with my brothers and sisters, and I'd like this to be more of a friendly discussion rather than an official, minbar or lecture as such. I prefer it that way, especially as most of the brothers and sisters, they're young, and their hearts are so pure. The topic we'll be discussing, inshallah, is going to be the human being in Islam. Today, I'd like to just give a small introduction to this topic. Why is this topic important? What relevance does it have? When we understand the importance of something, we give it its due value. But if we don't understand the importance of something, we don't value it as much, and we're not able to benefit from it so much. So I'm sure all of you and all of us who are living in countries or in societies where we're surrounded by people who don't share our faith, all of us have been questioned regarding certain aspects of our faith, right? The month of Ramadan is a brilliant example. The month of Ramadan, you're fasting, your colleagues are all eating and drinking. Now, the first of the month of Ramadan, they notice you're not eating with them, you're not drinking with them, or your classmates are all eating and drinking and you're on the side looking very miserable, right? So people ask, why aren't you eating? Why aren't you drinking? And you say, yeah, it's the month of Ramadan. What does that mean? Yeah, we Muslims, we have this month in the year where we don't eat or drink for 30 days. At 30 days, you're going to die. No. Every day from dawn till dusk for an amount of 30 days, an entire month, right? So that's one example of something that we've faced as Muslims. All of us have faced that question. Why are you fasting? What's the reason behind it? Another example, for example, is the 5 daily prayers. Another example is the hijab of our sisters and mothers and daughters. Why are you wearing that? Sometimes it's just an inquisitive person who wants to know an answer. They're interested. And that's brilliant. That's beautiful. It creates dialogue. But at the same time, sometimes, and we cannot deny this, if we're living as conscious human beings, knowing what's going on around us, we cannot deny that there is an attack against Islam taking place. There is a very clear attack in the media taking place against Islam. The Zionists are on to get Islam. That's been the case since September the 11th, and even before. But after 9/11, it became much worse, and we just see it continuing, right? So sometimes they're not only inquisitive questions, sometimes it's an attack, Why is it that we have some countries in Europe who forbid the veil in certain conditions? By law. Where is the freedom? It's an attack against Islam, right? You shouldn't be wearing that. You should be dressed in a different manner. Your religion is wrong to tell you to wear this, right? Why is it in Muslim countries you have so many human rights abuses? Why is it that, for example, men and women are not equal in your religion? Why does the Quran give so much inheritance for men and only half for women, for example? Right? And so on and so forth. So be it due to curiosity or be it due to an attack against Islam, at the end of the day, these questions are there and they're being posed to us all the time. And a lot of the time, we're human beings at the end of the day, right? Brothers and sisters, let's speak on the ground. I don't believe in speaking in bubbles. I always say this, I know. I don't believe in speaking in a bubble. A bubble? You have cartoon characters inside a bubble. They're singing away and they're going away from the earth every moment, oblivious of what's happening, right? And then one time this bubble bursts and this character comes falling down. And that's not a very nice feeling. Let's speak on the ground. Let's not delude ourselves, okay? We have these questions. I have this question. Why is it that everyone else can do certain things and I can't? My religion forbids me, right? Why is it that everyone else is free to choose this and this and this and this path and this career and so on and so forth? My religion doesn't allow me to choose anything I want. Why is it my religion forces me, orders me, and says to me that, look, if you're practicing a Muslim, you have to observe this dress code? It bothers me. Why do I have to do that? No one else around me has to do that. We have these questions ourselves. Why is it that Islam is sometimes very difficult and seemingly unreasonable? Why is that? And others who don't share our religion, who are not Muslim, they have it so easy. Sometimes you're sitting there in Shah Ramadan seeing your friend eat a burger, like, right? I wish I was you. I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't know about this religion. I wouldn't have to follow it. I'm excused because I don't know. So we have these questions as well, right? I know I certainly have these questions. Why is it that Islam, all these rules that you have to follow? Why? Why? How we normally deal with these questions, if we want to defend the religion, if we, and a lot of our youth, mashallah, they have this what they call ghayra, the sense of passion, this passion and loyalty and the sense of wanting to defend Islam. If someone attacks my religion, I'm going to defend it, right? Which is great. So what we end up doing when we're posed with these questions, those of us who want to defend Islam, it's okay. This person's asking me about my hijab. I'm going to give them an answer they understand, right? Therefore, I'm going to say it's a feminist statement. I'm making a statement that my body is for me only and no one else. Some people get impressed with this, right? And I'm not saying that's wrong. We're not speaking right or wrong. We're speaking about our situation. We want to defend Islam. We do what? They attack hijab. We're like, okay, look, according to feminism, you should not have an issue with how women dress. They come and they ask about fasting. We say, well, scientifically, according to science, right, fasting is actually good for you. Or, for example, they come and they say, well, democracy. Where is the democracy in the Muslim world? Where is the democracy in Islam, right? And you come and you explain to them, well, according to democracy, if the majority wants something, that's what goes. So why do you have an issue if a majority in a country are Muslim and they want Islamic law? What is your problem? If you believe in democracy, you should be happy about that. Just because it's not your opinion doesn't mean it's so democratic. So we come and we answer any issue they give, we answer along that issue, right? They come speak about hijab, we answer along the lines of hijab and women and so on and so forth. They come and they ask us about politics, we answer in a political way. They come and ask us about social matters, we come and give a social reason, right? That's not bad. But, dear brothers and sisters, the real difference between Islam and non-Islam is not in women's rights. The real difference where Islam separates from anything that's not Islam is not in politics. The real point of separation between Islam and Kufr or anything other than Islam is not in, fasting or because we believe in science or something like that. The real difference is in only one thing, dear brothers and sisters. Please pay attention to this point. It's the key point for these sessions, inshallah. The real difference which we have to look for, and before I say it, because I want the effect to be greater, inshallah, allow me to give an example. When you have two trees, okay? One's an apple tree, and one's a different fruit, right? One's, let's say, it's a berry tree. Berries falling off this tree, okay? Now, what we do when we compare these two different trees, we come and we're like, look, this is a berry, this is an apple. Why are they so different? And we compare the branches of these trees, we compare the leaves of these trees. But the reality is, if you want to know why these two trees are so different, don't look. You won't find the answer in the berries or the apples or the leaves or the branches. You want to know the difference? You have to go way beneath the ground to the seed of this tree. The reason that this tree is different to this is because their seeds are different. That seed from which everything starts. Everything starts from the seed. So what is that seed? The seed of Islam, which makes it different to everything else. What is that seed? Or imagine you have a line, right? You have train tracks. There's one train track, and I'm sure all of you have seen this. If you traveled by train, you've surely seen this. Train track is going forward, and then it splits into two, right? Happens. Train track splits into two. We're standing 20, 30, 50, 100 meters down that train track and saying, why is that one so far from this one? If you want to know where the origin is, if you want to know where the discussion and the difference begins, you have to go and return to the point that it separates. What is that point of separation between Islam and non-Islam? What is that point of separation between, what is that seed which makes one tree the tree of Islam and one tree the tree of liberalism or feminism or humanism or any other ism or materialism? That is only one thing, brothers and sisters, and that is the word human being. Al-insan, human being. What does that word mean? Look, if you're speaking about women's rights, if you're speaking about democracy, if you're speaking about any kind of ism, you're speaking about morality, the idea of what's good and bad and who judges what's good and bad and how you can understand what is good from what is bad, all of these things are surrounding one thing, and that is man, al-insan, the human being, right? That's what the actual discussion is about. It's about man, al-insan, man, the human being. So, what does Islam say about man? The reason, brothers and sisters, please pay attention to this point. It's so key, brother, to understand so much, and so many issues are solved right here, brothers and sisters. The reason Islam has a different understanding of women's rights or politics or morality or anything else, the reason is only one thing, and that is its definition of man differs to the definition of other schools of thought. Question. And I'll leave a few seconds just for everyone to think, and then inshallah I'll jump in and answer myself. Question. Does Allah, God Almighty, does Allah follow Islam? Time's up. Does God Almighty follow a religion? Is Allah a Muslim? Is he a follower of Islam? Answer. Of course not. God doesn't follow a religion. Allah doesn't follow. Why? Because Allah is absolute perfection and He's absolutely needless. Allah sent Islam for who? For human beings. Religion, Islam is for man. Islam is all about the human being. Allah doesn't follow Islam. Allah is the one who sends Islam. For who? For human beings. To do what? To reach their completion. Islam is a program sent by the creator of man for man, right? So Allah doesn't follow Islam. Allah is the one who sent Islam for us. So Islam, the whole thing, and this is how we understand the entire religion, including ahkam and akhlaq and aqaid and everything in the religion. Every single thing in the religion is for one creation called al-insan, man. Everything, that's it. Islam is for al-insan. Islam speaks about al-insan. Islam speaks about the human being. That's all Islam is here to do, to be a program for the human being to reach the perfection of a human being. That's it. To nurture a human being, to reach his or her perfection as a human being. That's what Islam is. That's all Islam is. Not one letter more, not one letter less. It's a program for human beings to reach their perfection as human beings. So Islam is all about the human being. Now, can you use something which you don't know? If you buy a dishwasher, it comes to your home with a pamphlet and all covered in a box and everything, right? But you don't know what a dishwasher actually is. Will you be able to wash dishes? You buy a TV, but you don't actually know what a TV. You just went and bought it, but you didn't know what it is. What's the first thing you have to do? The first thing you have to do is learn about what this TV is, what its function is, and how you can use it. Meaning what? Acquire knowledge and understanding of what this item is. Then you can begin to use this item. Have a program on how to use this item and benefit from this item. Question. I'm a human being. But if I want to achieve my potential, the first thing I have to do is what? is to know what this human being can do, to know what this human being is. What can he achieve? Why is he here? What is man? And you know what? When you ask this question, what is the human being? When you ask this question to any critic of Islam, if they're a just person, they're not here only to argue, they actually have something to say and they're after truth, and many of them are, I'm sure. Okay, you're saying Islam is against human rights, right? Something we've all heard. Islam is against human rights because the Quran says this, the Quran says that, the Hadith says this Muslim country acts like this, and so on and so forth. For whatever reason, Islam is against human rights. Okay, Islam is against human rights. Question. You use the term here, human rights. Define human so I can know what his rights are. Tell me the meaning of that word, human. Define it for me. Tell me, what does that mean? Let's define what we're speaking about first, and then we can discuss, is Islam against human rights or for human rights? What is this human you're speaking about? Do you have an answer? History has been, the clock has been ticking. Philosophers came and went and presented their ideas. Another one came and argued, and all of this has happened. But until now, to date, there is no consensus. There is no consensus amongst religious, secular philosophers about the meaning of that word. All this philosophy you made about existence and man's place and all, okay, great. But you didn't even do the first step. You didn't define what you're speaking about. Man, what is man? All these theories of what is the best political system to govern man, put that aside for a second. First, tell me, what is man all about? Who is insan? Who is man? That you want a political theory to govern over him. Silence. There's no answer. There's no consensus. All this fuss and discussion speaking about different topics and what's right and what's wrong and what's good and evil and all of that. What should and shouldn't be. But the whole discussion is about man, and you haven't even defined what man is. So what are you speaking about? First step, define what man is. Let's come to a common agreement as to what al-insan, man, is, and then we'll discuss what is the best way for man to live. What is the best way for man to, govern society? What is the best way for man to understand what's right and wrong? What should and shouldn't be? But you know what? No one will ever be able to answer that question with certainty. Yes, they have assumptions. They assume man to be something, but can you prove it's correct? So, is man only this physicality? Is man only an animal like other animals? His only needs are to eat and drink and reproduce and have a roof over his head. That's it? That's all man is? Or is there more? So tell me, if man is only this physicality, right? What's the meaning of right and wrong, good and evil? What does that mean? Who determines? If the cameras are switched off and I have the ability to rob a bank and get rich and no one will find out, why is that wrong? Who says that's wrong? Just because everyone else told you it's wrong? So you've been conditioned to believe it's wrong, but there's no right or wrong in reality. It's just social conditioning. And this person, if they're an atheist, you can't answer that question. You have no answer. I feel it's wrong, so it's just your feeling then, right? So if you were to live at a different time, in a different society, where there were different understanding of right and wrong, your feeling would be different. Because there's no God in the picture. So it's just your feeling. So, excuse me for this example, but hurting a child is only wrong because the majority of people have conditioned you to think it's wrong. If you lived in a society where hurting a child was a good thing to do, it would become good. No answer. Excuse me. Because you failed to define this word, human being. What is the meaning of that word? And brothers and sisters, this discussion, it changes your understanding of Islam completely. We Muslims, many of us, including myself, we don't know what Islam has to say about this. We do the rituals, we go along with it, but we don't benefit much from them. Do you know why? Because we don't know what they're there to do. We don't know what rituals are there. Praying, fasting. Okay, what's it all about? I don't know. I'm just doing it. So of course we get tired of it. We wish that we didn't have to. It's a burden for us because we don't know what the game's all about. Everything is about man, al-insan. So the first step is to define al-insan. And the reality is, brothers and sisters, man's intellect is not sufficient to define that word. And man has had a long time to come to a consensus. Without God, we've had a long time to come to consensus just on this word. Who am I? What is this I? And we failed. Man needs his creator to introduce himself to himself. I need God to introduce me to me. And one of the most important aims of the Quran is exactly this. It introduces you to you. One of the biggest aims of the Prophets ﷺ is this. They introduce you to you. Man, you are this. You are this. And therefore, because you are this, you should live in this manner. Do you see how it works, brothers and sisters? All of Islam is a building built on a foundation. That foundation is its definition of human being. Islam is saying, look, you need to know who you are. I'm going to help you. Let me introduce you to you because you don't know who you are. And then let me show you how you can achieve your absolute perfection and potential. As simple as that. Islam has a definition for man. Islam has a definition for the human being. But non-Islam, other than Islam, there is no set definition. There are some assumptions, but can you prove them? You can't prove them. We can prove our religion. We can prove this is the true way, but it's not for this discussion. It's for aqaid and, theology. But we can prove that. Once we're convinced of that, Bismillah, let's see. How does Islam actually introduce the human being to himself? Who is man? Who is man? It's related that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam said, I'm amazed, I'm bewildered by someone who searches for something he's lost, but he's lost his own self and he doesn't search for it. So I'm happy living my life, my mundane life, day by day, going, coming, eating, drinking, working, coming back, resting. It never comes into my mind that I should maybe think about who I am. Is this the best life I should be living? Is this the best way? Maybe there's something better out there, right? So Islam, brothers and sisters, has a definition for man. And the entire religion is a program built on this definition of man. As God says in the Quran, does he not know who he's created? Does the creator not know what he's created? It's a rhetorical question. He knows best who he's created. He knows best who he's created. So inshallah, the discussions we'll be having will be based on this topic. How does Islam define the human being? And in these discussions, brothers and sisters, there are two ways we can discuss something. We can discuss a topic. The first way is where we try to prove that what Islam says is correct. So we're trying to prove that it's correct. The other way is no, we're only presenting, this is what Islam says. From the Quran, from the narrations, from Islamic sources, this is what Islam says. If you want to know if it's true or not, you have to refer to another discussion. Our discussion will be of the second type. We're not going to be proving anything. That requires a workshop. But our discussion will be just to know, what does Islam say about the human being? And honestly, you'll be amazed. I'll be amazed. We'll be amazed at what Islam has to say about this creature who we thought we knew. But when you see what the Quran says, you feel you knew nothing about this human being, even though you're a human yourself. It's a different perspective altogether. I'd like to wrap up, inshallah, with one narration regarding this. So our aim is to find what does Islam say about the human being? How does Islam define man? What is this existence called human being? There's one narration. It's present in Al-Kafi from one of the A'imma alayhim as-salam, maybe even the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I don't remember which of the Ahlul Bayt it was. But the narration states the following: "An-nasu ma'adin ka-ma'adin al-dhahabi wal-fidda." Human beings. And note, not Muslims. We're speaking about insan, man, human being. An-nas, all people, all human beings are in reality mines. Mines. You know, mines of gold and silver and treasure? Human beings are mines. Like the mines of gold and silver. This is one thing that Islam says about the human being. Every human being is a mine filled with treasure. Every single one of you is a mine filled with treasure. And now imagine, brothers and sisters, you have a neighbor who you trust very much, and you know you're sure this person is an honest person. They're much older than you, a lot more wisdom. They've been there a long time in that area. You've just moved in some years ago, but you know you love this neighbor of yours, very trustworthy person, knowledgeable person, wise person, experienced. Whatever he says, you'll believe him. One day, this neighbor comes to your house and visits you. And this neighbor says to you, look, my dear son, my dear daughter, outside your house, buried beneath your garden or your front garden or back garden, there's a treasure. There's a treasure. And it's yours. Go and dig for that treasure and keep it. It's yours. Use it. This person can do one of two things. Either this person is going to accept the invitation of the neighbor and say, you know what? I trust this person. Why would they lie to me? They go, they dig for the treasure, they find it, and they benefit from it. Or this person scoffs at the neighbor. Treasure? Right outside my garden. Underneath my backyard, there's treasure and it's mine? Are you joking? Come on. So this person never even attempts to find that treasure. The treasure was there. One person accepted the invitation of the neighbor, dug for the treasure and found it. The other scoffed at the neighbor. So brothers and sisters, the prophets came, the imams came saying what? Oh, human being, you have treasure. Buried where? Inside yourself. Dig for that treasure. Find that treasure. One group of human beings scoffed. Treasure inside me? Yeah, right. Another group of human beings, they said, you know what? Let me start digging. They dug and they found treasure. Unfortunately, and it's with a very heavy heart, the person has to say this, brothers and sisters, the cemeteries, the graveyards, the maqbara, the cemeteries are filled with mountains of treasure, which was never touched. Because most people didn't embark on that journey to find treasure within themselves. Untouched. Imagine a mountain of gold just buried under the ground. That's so many of us. We don't believe there's treasure inside. If you don't believe it's there, you'll never go after it. The first step is what? To know that the treasure is there. If you don't know it's there, if you don't believe it's there, you'll never search for it. Our aim, inshallah, in these discussions will be to understand who we are, gain that knowledge of who we are to an extent, inshallah, as much as time allows, and then we can start digging for that treasure and making full use of who we are. So remember that narration, brothers and sisters. الناس معادن كمعادن الذهب والفضة. Human beings, all human beings, without exception, black and white and yellow and green and east and west, all human beings are mines of treasure, like the mines of gold and silver. But I need to realize that I'm a mine, and I need to realize how to dig out that treasure. That's what Islam comes to do. It firstly introduces you as that mine, makes you know who you are, and then it teaches you, come, let me show you how to dig for that treasure. So you can find it and benefit from it, inshallah. The book, inshallah, we'll be using, and I'm not asking anyone to read this book, there's no need for that, but just, from my side, I want everyone to know that inshallah we'll be using this book called Insan al-Quran, Man in the Quran, by a great scholar of Islam, contemporary scholar, who was martyred about 40, 50 years ago, called Shaheed Murtada Mutahari, Ayatollah Murtada Mutahari, rahmatullah alayh. And what's so special about this scholar, one of the very special things about the scholar, is he went to the sources of Islam and then brought them back and made them relevant to today. He explained Islamic concepts in a way which is so relevant to today. It solves the problems of today, right? And even Imam Khamenei, the leader, with all that greatness, he considers himself to be a student of this great scholar, right? So inshallah, the discussions we'll be having, some of them will be from this book, Insan Dar Quran, Man in the Eyes of the Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those who understand who we truly are. As the narration says, Man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbahu, one who recognizes his own self, the reality of his own self, recognizes his Lord, the reality of his Lord. That's how connected God is to man, if only we recognize who we truly are. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those who truly recognize who we are, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those who can truly find that treasure within themselves, dig out that treasure and make the most of it while they're alive in this world, inshallah. وسبحان ربنا رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين. So dear brothers and sisters, there's a chance to ask questions. If there are any questions, if we're able to answer them, we are at your service, inshallah. You can ask them in the chat below if you like, or wherever it's being broadcasted. Feel free to ask the questions, and then inshallah, I think Uncle Irshad can help in that as well.
Thank you, Saeed. Everyone who is participating on Zoom, if you want to ask any questions, you can put it on the chat or just tell me and I'll unmute you. Thank you. Saeed, you can carry on with your speech, I suppose. If I get any questions, I'll highlight it to you.
I don't have much more to add to that, Uncle. I didn't want to bore the brothers and sisters from the onset. If there are no questions, I think it's the first session, so it's normal that there aren't too many questions. So inshallah, we can leave it for next time. If during the course of this week, the brothers and sisters have any questions or ideas or suggestions, it's boring, we should change it, anything at all, please let us know. Let Uncle Irshad know. And inshallah, we can change, we can improve, inshallah. And if there are any questions that come up during the course of the week as well, please feel free to mention them next time, and we'll address them, inshallah.
Right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Saeed, for taking time to do this. Thank you so much.
Not at all. Thank you.
There is a question, though, so if you want to ask one.
Sure.
Question is, if you mess up namaz on your second rakat, will it be batil?
If you mess up namaz on your second rakat, will it be batil? If you doubt between 1 and 2 rak'ahs, your prayer will be batil. But it depends what you mean by mess up, to be very frank. Mess up can mean different things. I mean, if you know that you, for example, missed a certain part of prayer, and you recognize that and you realize that before you finish your prayer, it's not necessarily going to be problematic. So I need to know the specific if you don't have wudu. Okay, so if you don't have wudu, whether it's your second rak'ah, third, fourth, or first rak'ah, your prayer is invalid because one of the prerequisites of prayer is having wudu. So if you realize that you didn't have wudu, then you need to repeat that prayer with wudu. And that's irrespective of which rak'ah you're in. Welcome.
Sorry, yeah, just to clarify that question, I think the sister was asking about if you don't have wudu. But I think you've answered.
Yeah. Prayer requires wudu, so there's no prayer without wudu. If wudu isn't there, irrespective of which rak'ah you're in, it's like you're just doing a bunch of actions, but you're not praying. So just go right there, do your wudu, and repeat your prayer from the beginning.
Okay, I don't see any other questions, so I suppose we can close the call. And just a quick one, just wanted to highlight everyone that we will have the same session every Tuesday at 6 p.m. UK time.
UK time.
But yeah, just another question just came.
Sure.
The question is, what is the reference for people being minds?
The reference for people being minds, this is in our narrations. And one of the references is the book of Al-Kafi. But I don't have the exact volume and so on. I can research for next time, inshallah. And I can come with the exact reference for next time, inshallah.
Okay. Any other questions, people, before we close the call? No. All right. So we'll close the call. Thank you so much for your time.
May Allah bless you for arranging the call.
Next week, Tuesday.
Inshallah. I look forward to it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Uncle. Take care of yourself. Khuda Hafiz, everyone.
Take care.